Georgia beats Mississippi State 41-21. It's the Postgame Overreaction show from UGAsports.com. I'm Dayne Young, coming to you from the studio where we've done the watch-along show with Jim Donnan. And if you want to join us, the link is in the YouTube video description. You can come hang out. We usually have a good crowd that joins after Georgia games to give your thoughts, your overreactions, your opinions as Georgia has quite an impressive victory at Mississippi State after getting down early 7-0. And then look at that in the second quarter, 21 unanswered points, followed by winning the third quarter 14-7, and final score being 41-21. Most of the fourth quarter was get the backups in, run the clock, try not to get injured. At the moment, have not heard an injury update on Drew Bobo, who went out of the game. We will surely hear what Kirby Smart has to say about that and much more from his post-game overreaction. Let us know where you're watching from, just like Matt. Waterford is where you're watching. Thanks for watching from there. Love to shout out your hometowns, places that mean a lot to you. And just like Dog85 says, hope Drew's okay. He has been the anchor on the offensive line and a reliable snapper. Yeah, with an offensive line that with every week feels like it's becoming one of the best in the country. And he has been as durable, as reliable as any player on Georgia's offensive line. Let's get through some stats here to post-game injury waiting show. That feels like that's what we're waiting on at this point. Bridgeport, Alabama's in the house. We're in Tullahoma, Tennessee, Villa Rica, Columbus, Iowa Sports Director TV station there. Great spot. Roswell, News and Loss and Lucky. Same at the moment. He was on the sideline after the game, so that doesn't indicate that he needed to be in the locker room for any particular reason. But yeah, haven't heard an update with him yet. Got Chatham County in the house. Tifton's here. Whitwell, Tennessee. Chickamauga. Hello in Richmond. Over in Paris. Spent a week there this summer. Great spot. All right, stats from the Dogs for this game. Gunnar Stockton, 18 of 29, 264 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Pretty efficient game for Gunnar. I don't know if it was his best game necessarily, but didn't need his best game against this team. Had some breakout receiving plays that inflated those numbers, I feel like. Nate Frazier, though, 12 carries, 181 yards, and a touchdown. We thought he was going to go for 200 yards. He was running with that kind of intensity and that kind of violence. Chauncey Bowen, 7 carries for 28 yards and a touchdown. Bo Walker got 4 carries for 22 yards in garbage time. Dwight Phillips, Peanut, 6 carries for 17 yards. And just overall, this was a dominant game for Georgia. 567 yards of offense for the Dogs. This could have been worse because you'll remember they had a fumble from Dylan Bell deep in the red zone, and that was something that stalled Georgia out and gave Mississippi State a little bit of life. That second quarter for Georgia really set the table for what this game was. Remember, Mississippi State was leading 7-3 after the first quarter. Then Georgia scores 21 in the second. Wins the middle 8 there, scoring 14 at the 7 at the end of the second quarter, 7 at the beginning of the third quarter. And then the Bulldogs were cruising from that point. So what does this mean for Georgia's season? I think that's probably where the overreaction could potentially come from. Georgia's most dominant game of the year, I would say. At least comparatively to, the opponent's skill level, because this Mississippi State team has played with pretty much every other SEC team that they've played. Texas A&M was the only one that it got a little bit sideways, but this state team should have beaten Texas. Like, there was no way that Texas should have come back in that game, and the Longhorns definitely did so. That's who Georgia plays next week. Night game in Athens. Potentially College game day there, but it sounded like that Coach Donnan was saying that if Alabama won tonight, that College game day would be at Bama and Oklahoma. But the main ESPN crew of Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit will be calling Georgia and Texas next week. So Let's get some receiving stats in here, and then we'll get Anthony Spano up in here to give his take. Zachariah Branch, 8 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown. Man, what a superstar he has been for Georgia this season. Noah Thomas, 3 catches, 78 yards and a touchdown. Oscar Delp, 3 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown. Did see a reverse attempt from Landon Roldan, so that's 2 weeks in a row. Freshman receiver gets a little bit of run for the Bulldogs offense. And, it was fun to see Elias Williams have that leaping 24-yard reception as well. So a lot of young guys get in the game for Georgia. Turnover battle. Each team lost the one turnover, a fumble. It was back-to-back fumbles. Georgia recovered one after it lost one. Dogs 7 of 12 on third down, ran for 303 yards, passed for 264. I don't think there's a whole lot to overreact to in this game. But if there is, maybe it's backup secondary. Maybe it's Daniel Harris late in the game. Let's go to Anthony Spano. Bring him in here. Anything to overreact to here, Anthony?
Dano, what's up, baby?
Life's good. How are you, my friend?
Always fun when we win by 20.
In the SEC, it doesn't happen a whole lot these days.
Not on the road at 11 o'clock. And then some people were calling for an upset.
This was a trap.
I'm driving. I'm leaving one golf course. I'm leaving one golf course to go to another. I'm sorry.
Because you played already, or because it was?
Yes.
Okay, so you're getting a second round in the.
Yeah.
How'd you play the first round?
I did enough to make my allowance for the week because my wife doesn't give it to me.
Okay.
So.
That works.
Yeah.
So what's your Georgia fandom strategy while on the golf course?
Well, let me ask you a question. This is a total dog question. Yeah. Are we a better second half offensive team or a better second half defensive team? And I'm just talking like wide view, because we know Kirby makes the adjustments, but on defense, but are we a better second half offensive team? And I'm just talking like full scale.
Yeah.
Because there's no stop and there's no quit in these boys. They don't look at the scoreboard. But what would you say is a better reflection of this team to this point? Are we a better defensive team in the second half, or are we a better offensive team? Regardless of scoreboard.
Based on how you're framing this question, I'm going to couch it a bit, because if you're just asking me, do I trust Georgia's offense in the second half or Georgia's defense in the second half more, I would tell you it's offense.
Right.
I don't think that's what you're asking me. You're asking me level of improvement on each side.
No. So how many times have we played a team that was playing really, really well? I mean, you can look at Ole Miss, you can look at Bama, and we've shut them out in the second half, or come close to shutting them out in the second half on defense, but still did our job on offense. I was leaning the same way you were, Dayne. Sorry. What would you and I think we're a running team this year, correct? Would you say that? I mean, we're top 25 in the country in running, where last year we're like low, like 100s. Like as far as
it's balanced, right? Because a lot of the bubbles, Zachariah Branch turned into a touchdown. That's a pass, but maybe Kirby can
I get it.
The run game thing. They are not a spread it out, throw down the field, 3 out of 4 times kind of team. They're not that.
Right. And is that because it's coordinated offensive line or weapons we have on the outside, or what do you think it is? I'm asking you, like 100%. What is it? Is it just he knows you can line it up down their throat, third quarter to fourth quarter, and beat the dog shit out of you? Or is it just because he knows the guys are blocking on the outside the way they're supposed to do with run plays, which we did not have the last 2 years?
You win games with your best players, and your differentiators.
Exactly.
And so
Thank you.
The 3 guys that have emerged on this team for them to develop the offensive identity, because Gunnar Stockton has always been this, He needed stuff around him to make him better. He is not the
Yep.
greatest quarterback in the world. He's not going to be
No.
someone that you want to lead you back from 3 scores, but man, he makes the right decision, and he's a tough player. A lot of
Yep.
the same qualities that Stetson Bennett had Georgia fans raving about. The 3 players that emerged to me, 2 are on the offensive line with Gaston
Yes.
and Glover.
Juan Gaston and Glover, and Gaston's true freshman. Oh my Lord! And he was hurt after the first. Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So then you put that on the offensive line, and you may have the best offensive line in the country. And then what we're seeing with Zachariah Branch is different than what we've seen from a Georgia receiver in terms of how defenses have to fear that player. Probably since McConkey, and then maybe even Pickens. But Pickens is a different style. But in terms of like when you get that person the ball in the open field, it's probably McConkey.
Yep. So, okay, I'm 100% on the level with you right now. The offense is winning the games when they need to be, but the defense is getting the stops when they need to. Correct?
For the most part, I think the level of competition.
For the most part.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. But your SEC, you're playing SEC team. I don't give a fuck who you're playing. If you're getting beat, you have to get a stop, and I'm not gonna stop one from the other. But when they're getting their stops when they need to, sorry, I gotta make a turn right here. When they're getting their stops, the offense will capitalize. So it's kind of a yin and yang thing, correct? Yeah. So you get the stop, you make a score. So it's a 14-point swing or whatever.
I mean,
my thing is
game with the middle 8, right? Georgia scores at
the end. That's exactly right.
Into the second quarter, and then you come out in the third, or again, game's over.
Yep. Is Zachariah Branch? Do you think Bobo is going to utilize him on more of like just running behind the line, doing kind of like the Canadian Football League stuff, just to try to see more and more and more, because he, like you said, he's a weapon. This guy's following me really close. Get the fuck off my ass, dude. And do you think like he is Georgia's most explosive playmaker? Correct.
Yes.
Right.
He is.
So he draws 2 bodies off of him every single time he goes.
I don't know if safety shield, but it's at least like 2 sets of eyes.
2 sets of eyes. Okay, so you got outside linebacker, you got safety, you got corner, stuff like that.
Which Georgia exploited.
I don't know
game when they
kind of
faked the bubble to him.
Yep.
London Humphreys on the one catch he had does not block, and he releases and goes down the field.
Yep. So is Bobo in his bag, or are we still just ripping on him?
I mean, if you're asking the dog vent, as a whole, I think that the heat is off of Bobo, but I also think just in the history of covering Georgia,
possible? Is that possible?
It's possible, but I think it's always one play away, if I had to guess.
Every time, dude. Jesus. Come on, dog vent. You're better than that.
He's been spectacular.
Come on.
Georgia's offense. That Tennessee game felt different to me, of just offensive. Honestly, for Gunnar Stockton to play the quality of football that he's playing, for the amount of talent that I think that raw talent. And I'm not, look, I think Gunnar Stockton is a really good quarterback. You can win a national championship with him. I don't think he's the first quarterback you pick in the country to go lead your team. And the fact that Georgia has him playing at like semi-Heisman caliber level, that's a credit to the coaching he's getting.
Yep. Let's just say this. We're probably not going to make the SEC championship.
We'll see.
Because we're already down. Well, we're already down. I mean, is Bama going to lose to LSU? No. Who's Texas A&M played? Every tough game they played is at Texas A&M.
So they have Texas at the end of the season. They're playing Missouri right now, which Missouri's playing a 3rd-string quarterback, so we'll see.
Like I said,
it's South Carolina and Samford. So I think A&M is not as good as what everyone thinks. I mean, you remember they only beat Arkansas by 30 points. So I think either Texas or Missouri is definitely losable for A&M. And I would tell you that for Bama, I think LSU and Auburn are both losable. Would I pick either of those? Probably not. But I think that those are tough spots for an Alabama team that does have flaws.
Yeah, and they play at Auburn, correct?
Correct. And that's an Auburn team that with Hugh Freeze, I think probably would not be as ferocious. Who knows with Durkin if they get some momentum.
Yeah, I mean, even if we don't make it SEC, I get it, but we're solidifying our spot where we need to be. We're rounding into form with a whole bunch of young players, and the only thing you can do is your job. That's it. Just do your job. Anthony, Gaston being back is huge.
They're wanting to know, did you watch the Georgia game while playing golf? They want to understand what's happening here.
Oh, I watched a handful of it, but I had to make birdies to make money. So
okay.
Well, I watched. What's that?
I don't need to play golf with you if you're making birdies for money like that.
Well, my job, like we said, my job is to do my job. So that's it. That's all that matters. No, I was watching it, and I had two phones up, and the guy that was riding with me was an Ohio State fan. And he goes, we won the national championship last year. I said, yeah, you've done one thing in 13 years. Shut the fuck up about it. So you still can't beat Michigan. So.
The golf course college football rivalries are the best.
They are. Yeah. I actually made him walk up to the green from 170 yards one time just because he said something smart about Georgia. I said, you've never gone back to back. So shut up about it. And I drove off. And he's on my team. So fuck him. I don't care.
All right.
He didn't do anything about it. So
Texas, Charlotte, Georgia Tech on a Friday. Any of that give you any pause, any worry?
No. My birthday's the day after Thanksgiving, right, Dane?
Okay. So happy birthday to you.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm after who we get playing Georgia Tech.
Okay.
In Atlanta. So I have tickets to be there, and I turned 50, so I expect to see you there.
I will be here doing a watch along show. That's where I've been for 5
years.
No,
you will not. Nope. No, you won't. Nope. Nope.
I ride with Coach Donnan. I think that is very understood.
Coach D, we all love Coach D. We do. But I need to see my dog boys, man. So, oh shit, there's a dog on the road. Matter of fact, that's a stray dog. Hey, what's going on?
I want you to know, since you're joining us while driving, which you're doing safely, I see your phone is attached as it should be. If you were to get pulled over, I am not stopping the stream. It will be live for the world to see.
Oh, that'd be hilarious, dude. No, and that's cool. I want to get other people on the broadcast, and I'm sorry that you kept me on this line. That's actually your fault.
I could have totally kicked you off at any time that I wanted to, but I enjoyed the conversation, and I'm jealous of the birdies because
I appreciate it.
I have now reached the age where I am golf addicted, but I'm not quite good enough to be doing that constantly. I'm in the low 80s situation, but I'll make it happen.
That's fine. I shot 66, so we're good. No big deal. And if anybody wants to call me out about it, just find me in the comments and we can go play. I'm in North Carolina. We can go have some fun. We don't make birdies, baby. We make babies. That's what we do. Because there's nothing better than making a birdie. If you think making a baby is better, I doubt it. So you guys have a great night the rest of the night. I'm getting ready to pull up to the next golf course. And go Dogs. We are going to finish this season 11-1 and get a great seed against some garbage fucking bag team. And we're just going to let the coaches do what they do and let the players do what they do.
Hit him straight, Anthony. Thank you, my friend.
All right, baby.
And that's Anthony Spano joining from one golf course to the next. That is an appreciation for the game and the craft right there. of I am leaving one golf course. I have been checking in on Georgia, and I want to discuss that on my way to the next golf course while it's 4 o'clock in November. And so that daylight is running out quickly. I don't know that there'll be time for the full 18 for Anthony unless that's quick. Super Goat Dog says, Carson Beck interception counter 1. Is that where we're at for the day? It's been rising throughout the year as Miami gets the full Carson Beck experience at this point. Current games that we're monitoring, especially ones that impact where Georgia is seated, because we know that Indiana pulled out a last-second win on a miracle throw and catch in the end zone to beat Penn State. So Georgia will not move up that high in the standings. Miami it's playing Syracuse right now, so Fran Brown could take out Carson Beck. I'm sure that they've had some discussions pregame, maybe even postgame coming. Texas A&M is playing Missouri right now. A&M has the ball. There's about half of the first quarter remaining there, so just getting started. Alabama hosts LSU tonight. Notre Dame has Navy. Shouldn't be much of an issue there. So that's the games that we're monitoring at the moment. Ole Miss is about to finish off the Citadel. I was talking with Radi Nabulsi, who will join here once he gets to where he's getting to. They overturned it, Super Goat Dog. Okay, so Carson Beck's interception does not count there. So there you go. There will be more to come, so don't worry. The interception count will continue at that point. I was alluding to a conversation that Roddy and I were having, so I guess I'll have it here. We're at the spot with Georgia's schedule that we get to, and Roddy, you may have caught the tail end. We just had Anthony Spano join between golf courses.
Damn it, missed him.
He finished one round and he's on his way to the next, and he talked to us while driving. So the path to this point to the playoff, because I'm of the belief that while an SEC championship is cool, it actually probably hurts your chances to win the national championship. So if it's me, of course, you'd rather win the SEC championship rather than lose it. I'd rather not play in it altogether and host a first-round playoff game and go from that point. I think Ole Miss is set up for that exact scenario. There's a world where Georgia can be in that scenario, but it requires Texas A&M and Alabama to keep winning. And not that you completely disagreed. I think you understood my point, but you gave the SEC championship a bit more credence than I currently do.
Well, I mean, I like it. I just, to me, the problem is if you make it to the SEC championship and you lose, you're penalized. Georgia was the number one team in the nation. They lose the SEC championship. They drop to 6. The top 4 get into the playoffs. Now, granted, that's changed, but when you go from 1 to 6, you're screwed. You're effed. You're screwed. It's awful. Now, if you could say, hey, well, both these teams, you're in. We got you in. In other words, why play one extra game that you could lose? Especially, I mean, this is not a team that's going to blow everybody off the ball. The fewer tests for this defense, the better. So I get what you're saying, but at the same time, the only saving grace for last year's kind of frustrating season was the fact that you won the SEC titles. You're SEC champs. That's a big deal. It's a hard thing to win. And I don't want Georgia to have to play Alabama again or Texas A&M until they're in the playoffs. I get it. But at the same time, yeah, if you can play them and it doesn't hurt your chances of getting into the playoffs, then by all means, go do it. In other words, the conference championship game should help certain teams who are on the cusp get in, but it shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't penalize a team that is one of the 2 best teams in your conference in an insanely tough conference like the SEC. So
yeah, because the worst case scenario is if you lost the conference championship game and then you have to go on the road in the first round of the college playoff in some scenario.
So that's a double whammy. You get penalized, and that's just not the way it goes. So again, I would like Georgia to be in the SEC championship. I think it's an amazing game. Or here's a wild idea: get rid of all the conference championship games, because every other SEC sport can name a regular season SEC champ. There's a regular season women's tennis champion. There's a regular season baseball champion. There's a regular season basketball champion. Then they have a tournament. I get that. And then you can be tournament champs. Fine. My point is, you can name at the end, say, okay, these two teams are tied. This one wins the tiebreaker. Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, whoever, Texas A&M, they are the regular season SEC champs. Now, without the conference championship weekend, you can move the playoffs up a week. We're already running into the middle of January, past the transfer portal. So it's like, okay, first week in December, first round of SEC, first round of playoffs. Let's try to get this thing wrapped up by the first week of January. So that's just my point. That's it's all hypothetical, but overall, if you look like you did today with that offense, bring them all on. Play as many games as possible. That offense was filthy. Shout out to Noah Thomas going off 64 yards, and then back-to-back, 2 touchdowns of over 50 yards when Georgia hadn't had one all season. And granted, this is not a good defense. Mississippi State is not a good defense. But you did the same thing that you did. Oh, Georgia's now the Mississippi State champions. You took on Mississippi State, you beat them, you beat Ole Miss. And that's a good graphic. How many of their drives with the starting quarterback did Georgia score on against Ole Miss and Mississippi State?
It's a lot of points that Georgia put up on the state of Mississippi. Nakobe Dean's strutting these days.
Nakobe Dean's giving him one of those, man. He's going crazy. I love it. Big shout out to Nakobe. Love that guy.
And we don't need to gloss over all week long trap game. Mississippi State's good. They are a good team. For Georgia to go perform like this is as strong as they've looked this season. And, we'll check out the health situation of Lawson Lucky and of Drew Bobo. This is a massive accomplishment for Georgia.
Got an update on that if you want to hear it, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so just got a call. Apparently Kirby said something similar, but Lawson Lucky was in concussion protocol. He got hit in the head. Kirby Smart says he got hit in the head. Wanted to go back in. Of course he did. Those Luckies are tough as hell. He wanted to go back into the game, but they got to do concussion protocol, and you didn't need him. And Drew Bobo has a cut. I think like a cut on his hand. So that's something you can. Knowing him, he was probably around there looking for a stapler or something. Let me just put a few staples in this, and who's got some tape? Who's got some gaffer's tape? Some duct tape. Drew Bobo's ready to go back in, but that seems pretty good. I like this, and this is the reason Marsh Mutt 8975 says, "Forget Roddy, you're right. There's just too much money to be made in conference championship games." And that's kind of been my point all along. Was you need the money, the conference needs the money or wants the money. Now maybe I guess you need it, but it's always been a money play. It was always very simple to say, well, 2 years ago, Georgia's your SEC champion. Okay. We don't need to play Alabama. Georgia's in the first 4, and they get a three-peat in national titles. So the conference championship game, people say, well, it's a different era now. I don't care. I'm still pissed about that because you had an extra hurdle that the other teams didn't have to go through. And even FSU, who won their conference championship game, was penalized because they didn't win it big enough. So they drop out too, and they don't get to make the playoffs. Oh, well, you lost your quarterback. So the conference championship games are a straight-up money grab. They're unneeded. And if they're going to play a 9th SEC game, now you're looking at playing 10, that you're just chewing yourselves up. So I think it's stupid. And we saw in the first week, this past Tuesday, strength of record, strength of schedule doesn't mean shit anymore. We're going to absolutely count on strength of schedule. Strength of record now matters with the playoff committee. They made a big deal to point that out. And that's why you need to schedule that 9th conference game. And that's why you need to have those conference championship games. And the first thing they did was go, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. Texas A&M by far and away has the strongest strength of schedule and the strongest strength of record. You're third. And they say, well, they didn't put up as many points, or let's look at the stats they put up on offense and defense. Yeah, Indiana and Ohio State put up a lot of stats on lesser competition. You're not justifying your reasoning there by dropping it. So until they show us that strength of schedule matters, I'm like, I had this fight on Twitter the other day. I'm like, well, no need to play it. No need to play it. Just take your whatever gets you into, and then someone came to me and said, well, yeah, but Ohio State, they would have rather beaten Michigan. I'm like, bull crap. If you told me that Georgia would lose to Florida or Tennessee or Georgia Tech and still win a national title, I'll take it. I'll take it every day of the year. You could go, if you could go winless against Georgia Tech but win the championship every year, what are you going to take? You're going to take the championship. So just
I have it, this is a bit of an off-season radical idea, but before COVID, they kept telling us you need to plan out these schedules like 6, 8, 10 years in advance. You would see, 2032, we have a 2-game series playing with this team. And obviously during COVID, that completely changed. And within, I don't know, 2 months of the season, they figured it out and they played. What if you had, I'm going to call this like dynamic scheduling, where your schedule for the first month of the season. And then after the first 2 to 3 weeks, your schedule for the second month of the season, and so on and so on. And so you could actually build it up to where that final week of the season, you kind of have a de facto SEC championship anyway, because you've set it up where those teams play each other at that time, or at least more likely to, play quality opponents by that point in the season. Would it ever hit? I doubt it. I think they like to plan it out that way. But I'm saying if you're looking for solutions, we're caught between two systems right now. And the conference championship does not align well with the 12-team playoff. And I think eventually they're going to have to address that.
No, I agree 100%. Another little insider note here from a friend of mine with the team. This win today was really big because they were talking to folks inside the program. The folks inside the program are very worried about Georgia's defensive talent level. It's down compared to what it's normally. Now, it's still, I thought the defense had a hell of a game after that first drive, and they gave up 179 yards of passing, but a lot of that was that final throw that got them down to the 2. So you were facing 2 of the top wide receivers in the SEC, 2 of the best. And those guys, let's see, you got it on the screen there. Brennan Thompson, 4 catches, 92 yards. Evans, 4 catches, 27 yards. So 119 yards between the 2 of them. That's phenomenal. But against the scout team, Georgia was struggling. When you can't stop your own scout team, that's not a good thing. And this was a guy talking to the coaches, and he said, man, they were really down on the team in general based on talent, but these guys stepped up and played, and they played to the way they'd been coached, and they did better in the game than they did in practice, which is always a nice thing. Usually it's the other way around. It's tough to do it, but I thought this was as good a game as we can talk about for the Georgia offense. The fact that the Georgia defense after that first drive, and shout out to Mississippi State for deciding to run the ball. That's fabulous. Made more tackles than they missed. Made some good plays on the ball. Got where they needed to be, and frustrated. They even knocked out the QB. I mean, shout out to Gabe Harris for hitting the quarterback so hard he was done. I don't want anyone to be injured, but I mean, if you're going to get a free shot on the quarterback, make it count. And they did. So,
well, and this was a coaching clinic too. Georgia coaches severely outcoached Mississippi State because I don't think the talent differential is as strong as that final score, and particularly the middle of the game where Georgia, in the middle of the game, it was 35-7. Like there's not that much of a gap between these two teams in terms of talent. The way, even with the punt on and off situation, some of the clock management, the third, like I still think that it was 14. What was the score, Roddy? When was it 14-7? I think it was 20. It was 21-7, and State goes for it on 4th down when they could have kicked a field goal. And they could have cut into the lead there and then decided not to. I thought that was bad coaching by Jeff Levy in that spot.
Yeah, Georgia scores a touchdown.
Georgia comes back, scores a touchdown, game's over.
Looking at the Georgia drives. Field goal, fumble, what was that on like the 3? Yeah, Mississippi State 3-yard line. TD, 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 TD. They finally punt once in the third quarter, 5 minutes left, and then field goal, punt, and into the half. So Georgia punted twice. fumbled once, but 5 straight scoring touchdowns, 2 field goals. And you could say that maybe that fumble should have been another TD, but Mississippi State fumbled it back, and then Georgia put it in for a touchdown. So I don't know that would have affected the final score. But shout out to KJ Bolden jumping on that ball. And I'd made a kind of offhanded comment that KJ wasn't exactly having his best year because you just didn't hear about him as much. He's having to do so much work without enough support, with Kyron Jones being out, Ja'Cory Thomas messing up sometimes, Zion Branch. It's a lot of stress on your one good safety.
Aguero in coverage. A lot of people in coverage. You saw why Daniel Harris isn't playing. He gets in, and the backup quarterback gets a bomb on him. It's tough on KJ to be everywhere he needs to be. Led the team in tackles. Fumble recovery. I thought KJ had a hell of a game. So, dude, 10 tackles for solo and 1 tackle for loss. So it did feel like this game he was everywhere, and especially after missing the second half of last week. So shout out to there you go, that KJ Bolden game stats. That's not too shabby at all. 10 total tackles, 4 solo, 1 for loss. If you're curious, in the Anthony Evans revenge game, he had 4 catches on 8 targets for 27 yards.
Weren't there a couple of pass interference calls on him when Georgia went to him?
At least one. Don't remember who it was particularly on him, but I'll trust you.
Yeah, it just felt like his Daniel Harris quiet quitting. You people are mean. Nah, he's just you saw Quintavious Johnson have a hell of a game today. Saw Gabe Harris step up his game. Christian Miller, of course, same production that you normally get.
Raylan Wilson had a sack.
Well, I mean, but in other words, you're expecting of him. So I'm thinking of some of the younger guys who are maturing. Daniel Harris didn't seem to be getting better. And Georgia went from him to Ellis Robinson. And then Ellis Robinson didn't seem to be getting better. He kept having penalties, and they went to DeMello Jones. And then DeMello gets banged up, and they go back to Ellis Robinson. And then eventually went back to Daniel Harris. And he has the ability to start, but it's just you don't see that upward trend is my take. I mean, I'll leave that up to the analysts like you and Brent and Coach Saylor and guys like that, but I didn't quite see it. Oh, we got Jeremy coming on.
I can slide out and let Jeremy have a little bit of the platform, and
absolutely,
we'll do this next week.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Yep. See you, Radi.
See you. Bring on. Oops. Jeremy, let's get your thoughts, man.
Hey, Roddy. Man, today was that game we were finally looking for, where they all seemed to finally come together. I just hope, today, if Georgia wants to make any kind of postseason run, today's script, now granted, I mean, Mississippi State is not the kind of team we're going to be playing in the playoff, but today's script, to me, is how Georgia has success the rest of the way. You got to have that combination of Bowens and Frazier plus Gunner's ability to escape, that ability to keep running and pounding the rock, and keep our defense on the sideline is, I think, Georgia's best ticket forward to having any kind of postseason success.
No, I'm with you 100%. Georgia has guys. They have killers on offense. That offensive line, I said it last week. If Georgia continues in this vein, you got to give Stacey Searles credit for the injuries that they faced up front, and then the development of this O-line. Dontrell Glover, he's a killer. He's just nasty. And then Juan Gaston, he's a brute, but light on his feet. He just develops people. Ernest Green, he had a couple plays there where a guy was getting a speed rush on him, but for the most part, you saw how different Georgia looks when Ernest Green is in there, especially versus anybody else. They were able to run at will off the left side behind Freeling. But you're right, just the runs. You can run it with Peanut. Nate Frazier goes off for almost 200 yards. Nate Frazier looked like Nate Frazier did, that first game against Clemson. The first game this year, he looked different. Chauncey Bowens, wins you the Florida game. This is a guy who's just a beast. And then you got the tight end components. I mean, if you're able to throw it to Elias Williams, 6'7", and then Oscar Delp with that huge catch he has, and Lawson Lucky gets decapitated practically and wants to go back in. And Jaden Riddell's out there. I'm like, man, you can run 14 personnel and just maul teams. You can run old-fashioned, right up the middle. That works too. Get it to the outside, and then the toss sweeps to, or the speed reverses to Dylan Bell and getting it to Zachariah Branch. Noah Thomas coming out the big way he did today. London Humphreys, that huge the catch that he had on the second drive. My point is, you're right. This is the formula. It feels weird to look at Georgia like an old Pac-12 team. It's like, okay, well, they're going to score 55, but their defense is going to give up 37. And they're not that bad, but you're right. The formula, Jeremy, you nailed it. It's like, it doesn't feel like a run and gun or a. I wrote in my column, Georgia's offense isn't sexy, but man, it's what I say. It's a Topper's day shift. It gets the job done.
You can make fun of it all you want, but if the defense can do its share, and honestly, I think the key to that is keeping them on the sideline as much as possible. And like you said, I think I've heard y'all say play with the lead. They seem to play better when they play with the lead, but they're not. Yeah, the offense isn't sexy, but it's who cares when you can talk all that trash all you want when we're up 4 or 5 touchdowns on you at the end of the game, and we've just pounded you into submission with our running game.
Yeah, you're right, because you can keep the ball away from a team. Plus, you have the explosives. It isn't just 3 yards in a cloud of dust, 48, 49. Yeah. It's, okay, you're going to crowd the line because, we're running Nate Frazier at you. We're running Chauncey Bowens at you. I'm going to hit London Humphreys over the top for a 23-yarder. I got this out route to Lawson Lucky that's going to be 17 yards down the field. Or I'm running Big Elias Williams down the sideline. Imagine you see him come off the line and he's running a sail route or something, and you got to run step for step with him, and you're just looking up at him the whole way. You're
like, that's when I would pull the Ellis Robinson and just commit the penalty. just commit the
penalty. Because if he's going to catch one and pull an Orson Charles where he puts that big meat paw that he has on your helmet and just shoves you down, and you go rolling out of bounds, and he's going to walk in for a touchdown. That's coming. I'm calling that before the end of the season. He's going to catch one, keep his feet, and just roll a guy out of bounds. But I mean, it's pick your poisons. Like, okay, well, you're throwing it all over the place, and Gunner missed on some, and his wide receivers let him down on some deep balls, but there are some deep shots. And it's like, okay, if you want to crowd everybody on the line, you want to play man, we got you. We're gonna go down the field, and we'll hit these explosives on you. And then, okay, now the linebackers are backing out, the safeties are backing out a little bit because they're worried about you going deep on them. Now we're just going to give it to Josh McCray. Oh, it was 3rd and 2, and
And you hit on something there, Roddy. I think that's something. The explosives today, and we've had some more of them earlier this year too. But we have not really had the last couple of years the explosives in the run game that we've had this year, particularly today. But going back to Bowens last week and even before, we have not had the explosives from the run game. And that, like you said, I think has Gunner's touchdown runs have really been a big difference maker this year.
Yeah, I mean, he had 7, 8 before coming into the game. It's a difference maker. It really is. Georgia gave up 3 touchdowns today. Who scored them all? Quarterback.
That was yeah.
And granted, one of them was a long pass that put him on the 2, but again, it's just hard to stop. It's absolutely hard to stop. So if you're looking at 1st and 10, or 1st and goal from the 5 or 4, something like that, and if if Carson Beck's back there, and this isn't a shot against Carson, but if you're like, well, we don't have to count for him as a runner. Who's going to throw to? Who's going to hand it off to? It's a lot easier. And you talk about playing with a lead. When teams have thrown on first down against Georgia a lot, their secondary is not that good, but it's you throw on them. Teams have also, they also run on first down. What defense do you call when you're not sure if it's going to be a run or a pass? So you have to go something in the middle. But if it's 3rd and 16, like, okay, well, they got to throw it. So if Georgia's up by 21, like you were mentioning, first down, well, hell, they got to throw it. So we're gonna have 3 down linemen. We don't need 4. We're gonna rush 3, rush 4. We're gonna wait a guy on the edge, and we're gonna drop 6, 7, 8. Good luck throwing. We know you need to. So you're right. The formula's there. Don't let the defense dig too big a hole. The offense is going to grind it out. 5 straight touchdown drives like they had today. I'd love nothing more than to see Arch Manning just holding his helmet on the sideline, waiting to get back into the game. But Georgia Georgia had a 90-yard drive today, maybe a couple of them.
Yes, it started from their 10 or the 11, if I remember right. Yeah, so that was a very impressive drive. And I think that might have been your key point in the game that kind of just, because it did seem like after that point that was kind of the back-breaking moment for Mississippi State, because it did seem like the floodgates opened after that long drive.
Yeah, 13 plays, 90 yards, 7 minutes off the clock in the start of the second quarter. Mississippi State gets the ball back, they punt it to you, and you get the ball back again, and you put in another touchdown before halftime. Then you get the ball back after halftime, you score another touchdown. You won the middle 8 by 14. You're right, that 90-yard drive, backbreaker.
Giving me flashes of 21 and 22, and my blood pressure's just going down, 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 down. My blood pressure's just going down. That's like, man, I can actually relax a little bit. I can actually relax.
I'm with you there.
I'll tell you what, I got a random question for you, Roddy, because I can't remember if it's been asked before. Why does Georgia, and this is going back to Stetson and Beck, why do they have them as the placeholders? Are they trying to? I had someone suggest to me, like, is Kirby playing the long game for a fake field goal? Like, what is the thinking behind that?
Who else would you put out there? Just somebody that wouldn't get hurt? Is that the idea?
I guess that's, yeah. Because normally, you see a lot of other teams, it seems to me that they just put like either the there.
You're kind of breaking up there, Jeremy, but yeah, usually you'll see like a punter holding it for the place kicker because he's used to catching long snaps. That's what do you work on as a punter? You work on catching the ball and punting. So they line him up out there, and he understands the kicking game. But you're not worried about your punter catching the ball and standing up and throwing it at somebody. They can't throw for crap. It's just not their bailiwick. But if you have a Stetson Bennett or Carson Beck or Gunnar Stockton out there, you snap it to him, he stands up, he can make a throw. So, yeah, it is a long game. And at some point, you're going to see it happen, maybe next week. Just, in other words, they at least have to count on it. So even the hesitation of we can't send a guy from the corner trying to dive across the face of the ball or the plane of the kick, because if he flies in off the corner, that edge isn't protected. Gunnar Stockton will pick up the ball and just run it. And all of a sudden, it's not a field goal anymore. It's a first down, and they got a new set of downs, or it's a touchdown. So that's basically why you put him out there.
Okay.
When we brought in Justin Fields, everybody in the damn stadium knew this was going to be a fake. Some lessons you learn the hard way, man. Yeah, so C. Fowler here says it forces a special teams coach on the other side to stay honest on point after attempts and field goals. He's right. So he nailed it. Fowler also said that drive proved my point. They will impose their will. I'm with you there. That's that when you get somebody that's like, okay, well, that drive didn't work out for us, but we punted them back to their 10. Let's hold them here. And they go 90 yards. I don't care who you are. You just feel like offense, defense, special teams, peanut seller in the stands. You're like, this is going to be a long day.
It's very demoralizing.
It
It deflates you. So yeah, I think at that point that was the game cementing moment. That broke Mississippi State's back at that point.
Yeah, I'm with you. Amari Carmichael, big fan of the show, says, I'm just glad nobody's talking about the drop passes. I mean, we could. but there's only really one that kind of stood out. But yeah, remember last year, Jeremy, I'm sure you and I on this same exact show, we're talking about, well, if they had caught the 3 passes they dropped, XYZ, it would look a lot different. And I gave Carson Beck so much credit for just the sheer number of drop passes and the frustration. I'm like, he's hitting guys in the hands. Y'all need to help him out. And that has been changed. And you're right. There were so few long run plays. What did Kirby Smart say in spring? He gave us, I don't want to say a lecture, but he gave us kind of a long-winded answer about, Kirby, what do you want to work on? He says, run efficiency. A lot of people kind of scratch their head. He's like, when we run, it didn't sound like long plays from scrimmage, but he's like, when we decide to run the ball, we got to get more out of it. We got to get those dirty yards. We got to break a few of these. You can't be averaging 3.2 yards a carry. He wants to be around 4.5, 5 yards a carry. That run efficiency. And you saw that today. You called it out, Jeremy. Just some big runs up the field. See here on Georgia's rushing. Longs, Nate Frazier, of course, 59-yarder. Bo Walker, 10 yards. Phillips, 12 yards. Jeremy Bell, 9 yards. Just some.
Frazier had another one in the second half, I think, on that drive, too. I think he had like another 30, 40-yard run, if I remember right.
I think that one, yeah. So that was a double whammy there for him. But you're right, just the longs, when you've got your second, third, fourth string guys hitting 10 yards, 12 yards, 9 yards. And plus there was also a nice return there. Let's give Sakovi White credit for an 18-yard return. That's 2 first downs. So the efficiency on those runs is just through the roof. Let's see. Okay, here's the winner for you. And again, you have sacks factor into this. Georgia averaged 6.9 yards a carry.
That's going to beat almost any football team, short of just some weird stuff happening. That's going to win you just about every ball game you play.
Yeah, I like this one. UGA Death March by T. It's weird to have a death march in the middle of the second quarter, but it kind of did feel like that. Yeah. J-Link says the quarterback holding on the snap used to be fairly common. I'm with you there. Jimmy, what'd you think of that hit put on by Gabe Harris?
That one, I must have missed that one. I must have stepped away from the TV. What happened there? Was that on the quarterback or?
He hit the quarterback. Quarterback was out. He did that thing where he walks off with his arm kind of pointing, lean backwards. They didn't wrap it around the guy that's helping him off the field, but when you're holding your shoulder up and back, that's when it hurt. That's when it hurt. Oh, that was a big one there. Also liked what'd you think of Puglisi getting in? What'd you see from him?
I like what I see from him. He can run the offense. He's a little more of a, when he does pass, he's a little bit more of a gunslinger, but I think just as the more comfortable he gets back there, the more that's the game's going to slow down for him. So I liked what I got to see from him today.
Of course, we got a lot of Nate Frazier getting some love in there. What was it? Georgia ran for 305 yards today. They lost a couple yards on the last 2 kneel downs, so we'll call it plus 300. Gave up no sacks. Kind of like that. You talk about,
that's that offensive line finally getting some games under their belt and starting to gel together, Roddy.
You mentioned Nate Frazier with 2 long rushes. Would you have predicted he would have 181 yards in this game?
I did not see that one on my. That one was not on my bingo card today, Roddy.
But we talked about the fact that they should be able to, run on this team. Mississippi State's not a good, it's not very good against the run, but 181 yards. I'm gonna send these guys some of those Rogue Shop. Send the MSU team some of those Rogue Shop gummies so that they can deal with the pain. Those are good for chronic pain. So they absolutely needed that.
Roddy, I'm getting paged. I'm gonna have to hop off here.
Take off, man.
But, all right, man. I appreciate the time. Those who are watching. Like I've heard the others say, man, like this show. I love listening. This is my favorite show to listen to. I love y'all's content. Hit the like button. Subscribe to these guys. They do a great job covering our dogs. All right, Roddy.
Appreciate it, Jeremy.
All right,
take care, man. We'll see you later. So Jeremy had to run there. Let me mention their friends at the Rogue Shop. I just kind of touched on real quick because I was making a smart ass joke. Check out the Rogue Shop check out the Delta 8 products by the Rogue Shop. It's basically a man and a woman. The guy was in the Army. He's a vet. He also played some collegiate football. He got banged up, wanted something to help him with his chronic pain. Did not want to get hooked on opioids and came up with the anti-inflammatory properties of THC products. So he's like, look, I don't trust anybody else to make this, so I'll make it myself. So again, when you see this says family owned small batch, that's how they make it. Charlene, she's right there. They make this stuff, her and Richard, they make small batches. It's phenomenal stuff. And so if you have chronic pain or issues with sleeping, check out the gummies at the Rogue Shop and use promo code Bulldogs10 to get yourself a 10% discount. It also lets them know that you heard about them from UGA Sports, and that means a lot to us. How about the dogs rush a beer for us? I would, but I'm actually hitting up the Hunker Spirits behind me. So that is my what I call it. That is the my poison of choice. So I have to shout out to Hunker Spirits. I'm not going to do that one there. This is a good question. So somebody was asking about Gunnar Stockton going to the draft. I mean, that is a Arkwitz is going to be really interesting to see what happens in the QB room in the next few years. You could have a situation where Ryan Puglisi, who's been waiting, he gets in. He has to wait another year because Gunnar Stockton comes back, which you kind of think he would. But, I mean, he's putting enough on tape to get a lot of people's attention. But, I mean, his goal was to be the Georgia quarterback, and only getting 1 year at it, especially if they don't win a title and what you're going to come back with that offensive line and those running backs. If I'm him, I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. I don't know where he is on his what he would do his degree program, but we kind of just gloss over that a little bit. I feel bad about it. We probably shouldn't gloss over that, but he waited his turn, and he might want a little more time. And then you get Ryan Puglisi going, I got to wait another year, and then Jared Curtis gets here. And Jared Curtis, when you listen to that kid warm up, when you hear those throws, the ball whistling, the thwack as it hits your hands, and nothing against Ryan Puglisi. I don't think that would make him transfer, but I'm like, man, kid, I'm going to have a battle on my hands next year when Gunnar leaves. I don't know what's going to happen. And then there's a kid, top player in the nation, 2028, number one quarterback, number one player. He's going to announce next week. At the Tennessee game, there's going to be some major visits, and after that, you're going to have a really good chance at landing the number one quarterback. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens there. I don't know if Gunnar's going to go to the draft. I just don't see it happening. But it is a weak class. I'm with you there. Hey, Foster. Okay, and that's Jay Mellon. It's Foster. I got it. Yeah, I think no way Gunner goes. He's just like Stetson, a true bulldog from birth. I mean, he dreamed growing up of being the Georgia starting quarterback. And do you guys remember how different Stetson Bennett looked in 2021 and then 2022? The game slowed down for him. He was so much sharper in 2022. And they go undefeated, national champion. Gunner saw that. And he's getting more and more comfortable. The game's slowing down for him. If you're like, hey, Gunner, you get to come back, and Ethan Barbour is going to be healthy, and Elias Williams is going to be healthy, and these offensive linemen who were so good, you're going to have now Drew Bobo might go, but if not, we got Drew Bobo coming back. We've got Dontrell Glover, Cortez Smith, Juan Gaston. Get this bunch of running backs. He's like, man, let's go put up some crazy numbers. So I could see it. Now, 3 more games like that. Do you see Gunner in New York City? I mean, I think there is a anti-Gunner syndrome is too harsh a way to put it. And although I do get paid to write, I can't think of the words I want to say here. There's a prejudice against him. He's not what you see from he's not flashy. New York's flashy. Those voters like flashy. They like gaudy numbers. Guy drives a truck, wears his hat backwards, has cows. They're just like, well, he's kind of pedestrian. He's just getting the job done. It's system this, system that. But I mean, when you put up 264 yards and 3 touchdowns, that's good. But it's not over 300 yards. What's he had? 1 or 2 games where he's had over 300 yards. It's just not flashy enough. And he didn't have any preseason Heisman talk. He wasn't on the Heisman until a couple weeks ago. And I just don't know how much of a run he could have. To your point, Jay Molly, if he had 3 more games of 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, 62% completion rate, I just think there's too many guys that will have gaudier numbers that people have been talking about. Because here's the thing, it's the sunk cost fallacy. When you've been talking about how Ty Simpson and Mendoza and all these other guys, that my Heisman list has these 5 guys on it. Until one of them really screws up, you don't drop them, because you want to be able to say, I predicted these 5, all 5 of them got into New York, and I predicted this on October 2nd. Even though you probably should drop 1 of them or 2 of them and put Gunner on there or somebody else who's blowing up. So the problem is the voters. So would he deserve it? Yes. Will he get there? I just don't see it. I mean, they had to let Stetson Bennett in, and I felt like pushback against him. So I'm with you there. Yeah. Can't wait for another year comments about the F-150 from the 80s. Still runs, though, don't it? It still runs. That's a more interesting question. Does Zachariah Branch come back? That's a much more interesting one. David, I'm with you. The UG offensive line blocked exceptionally well today. They picked up, and so did the wide receivers, and so did the tight ends. The tight ends had a hell of a day, but you're right. That offensive line was mashing and obliterating people and pushing. That's what we saw against Ole Miss. They just killed them. Think of that big touchdown run that Nate had, his first one. He runs to the end zone. He's not touched. The only time he's touched is when he kind of stumbles and the safety bumps into him. I mean, you can't run that far untouched and say that you did that all on your own. That was your offensive line doing all that for you. Yeah. JWC FB, I'm with you. Said he watched most of the game, but I did turn over to watch the last 3 minutes of the Indiana Penn State game. My gosh, what a touchdown catch. We did too. We had the watch along show going, and then it ended, and we went to that game and just stayed with it because that's one of the best touchdowns. Best touchdown of the year. I mean, kid made some money with that one. And heck of a throw there. Kind of feel bad for Penn State, but you can't just can't let him come down the field on you like that. T. Franklin's got a good point. He says Gunner will probably take the eval, but it'll probably come back as 5th or 6th round rating. He's staying. That's what I would have said early on, but I think he's showing you some things with his touch, especially on those deep balls, and the fact that he can run. He makes so many right decisions. His football IQ is so high. When you talk to him, he's terrible to talk to. Or let me rephrase it. When you interview him, he just comes across as aw shucks. And so you think that he's just not that bright. It's like, he doesn't speak like all the other quarterbacks. He's not eloquent and goes off, gives you a 400-word answer to a nebulous question. He just answers very plainly and directly. And we like our quarterbacks to sound brilliant. But when it comes to football IQ, the guy is off the charts. He knows what to do. He knows what's coming. He makes great decisions. Kirby's talked many times about how he has to make 2 or 3 decisions on every play. And Kirby will rave about how good he is at making those decisions. You saw him check out of a play today, touchdown, brilliant. You saw the same thing last week against Florida on the Chauncey Bowens one. He saw what they were in, changed the play. He makes that. The NFL likes that. They don't need him to be at the podium after the game. They don't need all the interviews around the locker room. They'll be happy to get a guy who wins. And hell, that could be his calling card. It's like, hey, I drive the F-150. I'm a simple guy. I got cows, and we just beat the Cowboys last week, and we're gonna go beat the Titans this weekend, and then we got the Dolphins in the playoffs. We're gonna whip their ass too. I can see it happening, but there is a little bit of folks in the South understand I don't want to call it prejudice, but just the scrutiny that you're held up to when you talk a little bit slower and you're not as eloquent. They think you're dumb. So, and there have been a lot of Southern people who have made a lot of money off of people underestimating them. So, I mean, hell, look at some of the quarterbacks out there. This is a good question. I don't know. I'm gonna need a group source this one. I admit I didn't notice how was Noah Thomas on his blocking today. I know he wasn't great at a few plays last week. Yeah, he did miss a few last week. I did see one that he blocked on, but I didn't see the rest. And there was one where he blocked the guy out to the left, and Georgia went right into him. So that was kind of dumb. The offensive line is gelling and lathering up at the right time. Correct. Very true. This is a good one. I keep saying put Branch in the backfield. Thankfully, Bobo has done it. They'll have to defend him as he's getting it, but he's a decoy. He's still invaluable. Yes, he is. I'm with you there. Use him as a decoy. Put him in the backfield. It drives the defense crazy. But can we retire the Josh McCray peanut 2-back set? Tried it last week, nothing. Tried it this week, nothing. Maybe it works in practice, but I was not. Let's just say I was not impressed. Yeah, Omari says. Bennett should have won the Heisman. Yeah, he definitely. Again, I just think that there's too much negative press on him. This is before anything happened. Oh, well, he's older. Yeah, so is Fernando Mendoza. But apparently, it's only a problem if it's a Georgia guy that's older. Then it's too much. Let's see here. Any update on Drew Bobo or Lawson Lucky, UGA girl? If you missed it earlier, I'll repeat it. Lawson Lucky basically he's in concussion protocol. Kirby Smart said he got hit in the head. I spoke to somebody else who spoke to a friend of a brother of a trainer or somebody who changes the tires on the bus. I'm not sure exactly who it went back to, but I trust this person. They were the one who helped us break the news during the SEC championship last week that Carson Beck had that UCL issue on his elbow. This person said, hey, Lawson Lucky had a concussion or was in concussion protocol, and Drew Bobo has a cut on his hand. So should be fine. But, I mean, you got to come out. So he should be pretty good. Let's see here. That J-Mac. Yeah. The Josh McCrary and Peanut pass set is terrible. I'm with you there. Defensive effort today. Need a shout out. Yes, Jason, I did when I first got on. I wrote an entire column about how god awful the defense is, and I'm not. I told Dayne before the game started. I said, "Look, I'm already mentally preparing for how we're going to deal with Georgia being 7-2. Not that I really expect a loss. I have no faith in the defense. I should have more. I apologize to them, but after that first drive, I'm like." You couldn't have had any faith either. They made it look so easy. And then all of a sudden Mississippi State started running the balls to throw it. And I'm like, great. Every time they handed it off, I'm like, that's a win. That's a win. And then when they needed it, they threw it and they were able to complete passes. But my point is, one point there was like 4 missed tackles and it's driving me crazy. The defense, give them credit. I'm with you there, Jason, all day long. They did play better. They played better last week. You basically held a high-scoring, high proficiency offense, 130 yards, with your first team, throwing the ball against 2 top 7 wide receivers in the SEC, 2 of the fastest guys you will ever see in the SEC. I talk about the missed tackles, but the tackles made were a big deal. They tackled well. They got off blocks and got, good Lord, the pressure. They got 3 sacks today. 3 sacks. Georgia only had 8 coming into the game. They picked up 3 today, plus a lot of quarterback pressures. First play of the game, they came after him and affected it. So I'm with you there. I'm with you here. Love the we're going to punt. No, we're going for it. No, we're going to punt. No, we're going for it. Offsides. LOL. That was brilliant. I had forgotten that you can't call back-to-back timeouts. So Georgia lines up to punt. They let Mississippi State get ready. Then the punt team runs off. The offense runs on. And now you're looking at a 4th down for 4th and 4. You've got your starting offense against the punt return team. This is a win. You're going to go for it. So they call timeout. Mississippi State calls timeout to switch their guys out. Fair. Bring out the punt team. No, we're going to punt it anyway. Run the offense on. Now you got your offense versus their punt team. They think, well, in my position, I'd go for it. If you can give me my starting offense against the punt return team, I'm taking that all the time. And granted, it's not a great spot on the field, but worst case scenario, you just see if you can get them to jump off sides, and they can't call timeout to switch out their defense again because back-to-back timeouts gives you 5 yards. It's a penalty. So they had to call timeout. I mean, they had to leave those guys out there. And sure enough, one of them jumped off sides. So although in that situation, I think that Georgia would not have actually snapped it. I think they would have just taken a delay of game and then wound up punting it. But you at least took away one of their timeouts, and then you stuck them in a box. You put them in a locker and like, look, we've got our starting offense against your punt return team, which is mostly defensive guys, but that's what it is. So that was pretty fun. Hey, Beck just ran for a TD. Okay. Why did Roderick Robinson travel? Are they going to let him play? Yeah, I mean, the guys earned it. A lot of guys that make the travel team do it during practice that week. So, yeah, and this is a good point here. Remember, our all NFL defense gave up 40-something to Alabama. I believe in the 21 SEC championship game. Yeah, our defense is improving. True. But now remember that an Alabama offense, they were pretty damn good too. So, yeah, it's you're right. And so I should be more it's just when they're wide open or you don't have support in the run lanes, there's nobody in the B gap. There's no gap control. There's guys are catching the ball wide open. That makes me feel worse about what the defense is doing because I worry about the what's going to happen next. If they can get you with bad run fits 3 times in a row, and they can throw to wide open receivers, 4 times out of 5. I'm like, they've got your number. Now, yeah, you're going to make some adjustments, but you're going from terrible to adequate. And that makes me nervous against a good offense that has the fastest kid in the entire SEC at wide receiver, Anthony Evans, who's really good, and a quarterback who's throwing for over, 280 yards a game in SEC play. So that's why I was kind of scared to death. And sure enough, he came out of it. Okay, Rod's playing on special teams. There you go. I didn't know that. Was Gunnar clapping or calling timeout? Offsides call. Oh, smart ass. I have a big Ben on for that joke. That was a good one. All right. Ben Bachman's on with us. Ben, kind of give me your overall on the Georgia-Mississippi State game.
Georgia, I think, today beat all the allegations against his team outside of the opening drive on defense, which I just think at this point, just expect 7 to go on the board. I mean, if through 2 drives they've only given up 7 points, honestly, I feel like Georgia's just going to win the game no matter what at this point. You just got to accept the first drive. But yeah, on your clapping joke, I remember when he clapped both times. I think there was one time that there was a false start because he thought like the corner came down and jumped off sides, but he didn't. So Bobo like just snapped the ball late. So, yeah, and anytime Gunnar claps the ball, claps now, I'm always concerned. Like, is it a penalty on him? Is it a false start? Is it also? I don't know now with him. That penalty's kind of messed me up. But overall, on today's game, that was the most complete game Georgia's played. And I remember I think most of the fan base and even most people commentating would say Chauncey Bowen's been the top running back for Georgia this year. Nate Frazier probably heard all of that and goes, you know what? I have to have a performance like this today. Because anytime there was a hole, he was maximizing every single yard he got today. And I think he realizes like, oh, Chauncey Bowen's David Pollock, I know, said, hey, they need to give Bowens the ball like 60, 70% of the touches. And I think Nate Frazier's probably hearing like a former Georgia player talk about this guy is the lead horse. I'm the one who entered the year starting at running back. And today he had one of the best Georgia running back performances in a while I've seen. So, and then on top of that, Gunnar, I thought for the most part played really well today. The defense, I think the one bright spot in the defense, and we've talked about this all year, Roddy, I think the inside linebackers between Allen and Raylan Wilson, it seems like every week we give out a helmet sticker. It's either C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, because the inside linebackers, I know in coverage they can be suspect at times, but most linebackers are. But they are tremendous. For as much as the defense overall has been a letdown this year, those 2 guys once again today had one of their most complete games. It was pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah, Fowler 1898 says C.J. Allen's new Roquan is a bold statement.
They talked about that 4 times today. Dusty Dvorak was like, this guy reminds me of Roquan Smith like 4 times. I'm like, pump the brakes a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, maybe Quay Walker.
Roquan was the runaway Buckus winner his year and was like a top 10. Like you could not say he was a top 10 pick that year. So CJ, I don't know, is quite there yet because I don't think his start to the year was anywhere near what Roquan did against Notre Dame that one season.
He can't cover like that. That's the thing. So Roquan Smith, and even in the NFL, he covers like a cornerback. I mean, well, let's give him covers like a safety. He's legit in coverage, and he analyzes play really well. But you're right. I want to give parts unknown CJ the new Roquan. The way he plays, I mean, his inside out stuff. The way he stopped DJ Lagway last week, the plays he had today. And you're right. If it's not him, it's Raylan Wilson. And then when they bring both of them, which terrifies me when they bring them both on the same side, but I get how you overload a side and they get to them. And they did that on that second drive and dropped the quarterback. They did a couple other times in the game. I think as I am nervous about the defense every week, the play of the inside linebackers was never going to be a question. You knew that they were really good. I mean, hell, C.J. Allen ran off Dumas Johnson early on. He saw what was coming in that guy.
Yeah.
And then Raylan Wilson stepping in, and Raylan's had a hell of a year. They hit physical. They take on blocks. They shed blocks. I mean, they engage with guys and then get off of them. They don't have a lot of help on the outside. So
no.
So in other words, can you imagine if some of that stuff was being turned back inside? You know, if they had a little better help on the outside. But I'm with you, folks, that want to talk about the inside linebackers. That's and this is like the first week in maybe 5-6 weeks that C.J. Allen wasn't your top tackler. You know,
like Kevius Walker got in on an early third down too, which I'm like, he was like the number one linebacker in the country.
He had a bad mess.
And then you have Justin Williams played a little. I think Justin Williams made a couple plays today.
He had 5 tackles today.
Yeah, he's been kind of inconsistent this year with his reps.
But he's much better in coverage. And Chris Cole, who remember he was banged up last week, he had 5 tackles today as well. But the guy we're not talking about who probably deserves a helmet sticker, Aguero.
Yeah,
yes, he gets beat. He has issues, but he also is a tackling machine. We know he's not great in coverage, but he was second on the team today in tackles. 7, 2 solos. So
that's pissed off Kirby more this year than the coverage, Roddy. Every time they talk to Kirby about what do we need to improve on a defense, he goes, we're just not tackling. Like that's literally the first thing he's saying is, hey, we're not tackling. Because I think it was Ja'Cory Thomas. There was I think it was like a second or third down, and they sprung like a 15, 16-yard play where Ja'Cory Thomas could have gotten him down for just like a 1-yard gain. He breaks that tackle, it's 15 yards. Like that's one of those plays that's obviously you won by 3 touchdowns, and I honestly felt like more than that. But that's a little play where if you're in a game against Texas or Georgia Tech and it's close, that could be a huge difference. So you got to be able to tackle once you have an easy tackle sitting there for you.
Yeah, I pointed out that, I was, especially after that first drive, I'm like, man, my negativity right before kickoff. I'm always most anxious before kickoff, but it's also based on what I know can happen. And you weren't on the show, but I mean, we had people telling us before the Ole Miss game, they were practicing third down, Georgia scout team versus the starting offense. Okay, Georgia defense. Scout team offense versus the Georgia starting defense practicing third downs. Georgia's scout team goes 7 for 7 on third down. And that's before Ole Miss gets to town. I'm like that. Kirby loses his mind, starts yelling at everybody, starts practice over practically. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but we can't have this. And this is on like a Wednesday or Thursday. This isn't like Monday when you're just kind of prepping for them. So my point is, found out this week that the scout team was torching Georgia again. I'm like, this is going to be bad. And then you see him move down the field. And what did I write in my column? I said it was going to be Chauncey Bowens. But you're right. It was Nate Frazier today. That was the defensive MVP. Keep the defense on the sideline. Keep running the ball. Get a few chunk plays in there. Get them into get up by 2, 3, 4 scores. Make the opposing offense one-dimensional. But I'm with you. And it's those little, like you said, the missed tackle there. When you see it from enough guys, you're like, okay, this isn't hurting you with Mississippi State, or this isn't hurting you with Charlotte, or this isn't going to be a problem with Kentucky, but it could be a problem with Ole Miss or Florida or Tennessee, as we saw, and it was, and it could be a problem next week. So when we reconvene next week before the Georgia Texas game, I know I'll be concerned, but a little less concerned. A little less, because even though they are prone to giving up those, long runs or the missed tackles and the passes to a guy that's wide ass open, they keep coming back. The no quit is there on the defense. So I think we need to give we got a much better performance out of the defense than I expected, and this offense, Ben, is something.
It is. I was going into the game, like I know we've talked throughout the season that each game in the SEC, outside of maybe Kentucky, we're like, okay, this could be a fight. I actually, like, the day before the game thought, like, Mississippi State, their defense is terrible. I'm just gonna be blunt. Like, I don't think their defense is that good. And especially the one thing I noticed, I said this early in the game, my only nitpick with Bobo's play calling was the first 2 drives. He called so many sweeps and misdirections. He did like 4 or 5 of those plays over 2 drives, and only one of them worked. One of them was called a fumble, even though really it shouldn't have been. But I look at that and I go, you could just run the ball with Bowens or Frazier. They could have just almost every drive just kept hammering it to them. And Mississippi State had no answer. So I walked into that game knowing, like, okay, Georgia's going to score a lot. All they need is a couple stops and they're going to win the game, or they can win by a touchdown or 2. And I feel comfortable about that. I didn't know that they were going to dominate them, but I felt comfortable that if Georgia got a couple stops in the first half, they were going to win, no doubt, because Georgia's going to be able to score on almost every drive if they want to. So I wasn't actually worried about this game after dissecting them, because throughout the whole year, Mississippi State's been getting scored on like crazy. I think Texas and Tennessee both, even though those games were close, I mean, their defense allowed over 30 points in regulation in both those games. So, like, I'm sitting here not worried about the game itself, but I'm just worried about like, every drive to me was always about the defense, because when they brought in that backup quarterback, who Georgia recruited, by the way, he was explosive with his legs. And that's the one thing that honestly concerns me a little bit against Texas, is because I do not trust Arch and his accuracy and how well he's been throwing the football this year. I don't think he's going to light Georgia up like some of these other quarterbacks have, like Chambliss or like the guy from Tennessee, Aguilar. I think with Arch, it's his legs. If they have a game plan where they're going to run him a bunch and get creative with that, that's where it kind of worries me, because I thought Mississippi State with the quarterback run, now they have a more athletic quarterback. That's where I thought the defense struggled a little bit today, and they didn't when it came to Florida, which was odd, when they played Lagway.
No, you're right. I mean, the quarterback scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. The other quarterback got killed.
Yeah, he did. Shout out to Gabe Harris. Again, I won't congratulate you for hurting a guy.
No.
But when you hit a guy with enough force, that's a good hit. I'm sorry the other guy got hurt, but that's a game changer. You do that to Arch Manning.
Is that the best hit, Radi?
Look how hard it was for Georgia when they did the same thing to Carson Beck last year. You got him on a sack. You hit him in the middle throwing, screws up his UCL. It's a season ender.
Is that the best hit that you've seen on an opposing quarterback since Eric Stokes? I mean, I think against Tennessee, where he just killed that guy. I don't think that guy ever played football again. Like, I never heard of him. I don't even know. I think he was like the second string guy for Tennessee, and Eric Stokes just blitzed, and that guy didn't see him coming and just absolutely speared him. I think outside of that, I can't think of a hit that was as textbook in some time.
I don't know, that one that CJ Allen had, was it an Ole Miss coming, came right up through the A gap, nobody on him, just killed a quarterback. But no, you're right.
You're right.
That one was that was a load. And that, again, that's what's been missing. 3 sacks today, Ben. 3 sacks. That's huge. Quarterback pressures, quarterback having to I said in my write-up, you got to get this guy off his mark. You got to get them out of their rhythm. And if they pick up 5 yards on first down and 3 yards on second down, they're going to convert third down, or they're going to hit it. So you got to get them in third and long, and Georgia did. And there were numerous times where they also put themselves at 1st and 15, second and 13, because they'd have a legal procedure call or, a holding call. So Mississippi State made a bunch of mistakes, and Georgia did not let them capitalize. Anytime they had any sort of backwards play, any sort of negative yardage play, it ruined their drives.
Right.
Georgia overcame those, and Mississippi State did not. So that was a big deal. And I'm with you. When Gabe Harris comes through there and just lights him up, I was very excited to see the pressure on the quarterback on those show passes and to affect the QB like that. And they were great against the run. Why Mississippi State decided to think they could run it a lot, I don't know. But it's not like Georgia showed them a scheme. It's not like Georgia was dropping 8 and only rushing 3. So I was pretty pleased with what I saw there.
KJ Bolden also had a big hit on Anthony Evans. I think earlier in the game, Evans, I don't know if they had issues at Georgia or whatever when he was here, but I remember early in the game there was like a pass interference, or no, it was a holding called on KJ against Anthony Evans, and later in the game he just laid the boom on him. I mean, that was another big hit. But I look at the game and go, if Georgia gets 3 sacks like they did today and a few additional pressures versus Texas and Georgia Tech, they're winning both those games. If they're able to get at least that amount of explosive plays on defense from their rush and their inside linebackers, they're going to win those games. Because I think Texas's defense, when they've played good offenses this year, has not been particularly all that. And Georgia Tech, I remember you saying earlier in the year, even though they play really physical given the amount of talent they have, and they've maximized a lot of it under Brent Key. But you look, NC State and a few other games this year, their defense has gotten lit up. Like I don't think their defense scares me at all. So I look at Georgia going, Georgia can score on all these teams. Last year, the offense at times with Beck, because the run game was arguably the worst under Kirby, outside of maybe his first year, it was probably the worst rushing attack Kirby's had since being the head coach at Georgia. So I think this year they can run the ball. You have a mobile quarterback that the team trusts. Noah Thomas is finally doing something. I thought the game was freaking AI when I saw 61-yard Noah Thomas touchdown. I didn't know what I was saying.
Man, be nice.
Well, actually, I called Elias Williams, by the way, with the catch, the alien, with the 50-50 ball. But now I look at Georgia, I'm like, they have a lot of options to go to at receiver this year, and a quarterback that can run. That's going to scare the crap out of Tech when they play them. So I'm not worried about the defenses Georgia's going to play the rest of the way. It's really, if this defense can start getting pressure on the quarterback, I think they have a lot ahead of them in terms of obviously making the playoff and going far there.
Yeah, let's give the receivers some love here. 18 catches from everybody caught a pass, 264 yards, 149 yards after the catch. So that's a lot of getting and scooting. All right, we're going to do a double whammy here. I'm going to bring on John and the historian. And John came in first, so we're going to get his thoughts first. And then we're going to also bring on the historian and get his thoughts. But John, by effort of beating the historian by about 13 seconds, you get to go first, and then we'll have the historian give us his thoughts. Go ahead, John.
I think the most talented, worst team in the country.
I'm going to steal that so bad for my next column.
It is mind-numbing to me how bad we are in the secondary. So I have a few questions to you film gurus. Is Kirby Smart saying, I know enough to be dangerous. I'm not claiming to know anything that a college level coach would know. Is he saying this is our defense, we're going to run it no matter who's out there, we're not dumbing nothing down, we're not doing anything different, we're going to give you your call and you're going to run it? Or are they being allowed to play? I don't think they're being allowed to play. And if they're being allowed to play, then they're really bad.
All right, historian, it's on to you.
Good afternoon, fellas.
I want you to answer that question, and then we'll get your thoughts. But John puts a question on the thing.
I gotta agree with you when you say we're the most talented team that's just inconsistent, and it's just the honest to God truth. And I've been saying this. I said this the last time I came in here. When you talk about the consistency of this team, it pretty much is, if you've ever been to Six Flags over Georgia back in the day, it's like being on the old Scream Machine or the Ninja back in the day. It takes you up and down, round and round. But guess what? They find a way to finish. The only game they didn't finish in was the Alabama game. And again, that was because you had an elite NFL talented player who made a play. If Overton doesn't make that play, let's be honest, Georgia's undefeated at this point. So the offense is not the problem this year. It's the defense that's inconsistent. It's kind of like this. The game was at 12 o'clock today. I expected them to show up at 2:30. Be honest. That was what I expected. But you got to give Schumann credit, and I wonder how much Kirby got on him and said, "Hey, we got to start putting pressure on these guys in the first half, opposed to waiting to the second half to make adjustments." The only issue I have is the secondary. We have talented athletes in this secondary, and these guys can play, but we got to stop lining these guys damn 5 to 7 yards off the ball. We got to start letting them bump and run because we got some physical corners. Let them play. Stop holding them back.
The defense didn't show up till 12:40.
They were still late, but right on time.
Roddy, and I'm not trying to interject here, but my man's onto something. It was even frustrating Coach Donnan today why the way we were playing. We were playing as far as guys off the ball. He said it 2 or 3 times. And then on the goal line, we got nobody inside over the A gap. And the quarterback just ran right through it.
Yeah.
Like, so are we that? I'm not going to call anybody dumb, but what are we doing?
So, John, to answer your question, I'll say, and please don't accuse me of being a weasel on this, but I'm going to say it's a little column A, little column B, because I see both. Schematically, when you're looking at 2nd and 15 or it's going to be 2nd and 20 against DJ Lagway, and you don't have a middle linebacker in the middle of the field. And he sees that and goes, okay, I don't know what the hell we're going to run there, but I'm going to keep it. And he goes for 26 yards, converts a 2nd and 20. Okay. So this, like you said, on the goal line, the quarterback's going to keep it. You don't have anybody over the A gap, but how did they get down there? You didn't have anybody on the B gap on a run against one of the worst running teams in the nation. They're like, well, we'll take this. And they run right over you. We're going to rotate safeties, and no one's going to cover Anthony Evans. There's going to be a gap that Anthony Evans is going to go squat in. And all of a sudden, he gets a wide open pass. They zip down the field on you. Some of that is schematic, but then some of it is, okay, you guys, we're going to let you play. You're good athletes, but you missed a tackle. We're going to run a 6-man rush, and not one of you gets home, and then no one stays to the outside. No one twists, no one stunts. Again, that's the coach's call, but no one sheds their block to get to the quarterback. And now your 6-man rush gives them first down because they pick up 13. So sometimes it's your players, sometimes it's your scheme. The first drive to me always feels like a scheme issue. The errors in the rest of the game, usually you can point to the player who missed his assignment. So again, little column A, little column B. I'm not trying to play both sides. It's not either or. It's both, and that's why I'm with the historian. It's like they don't seem to get it worked out until third quarter. And after the second drive today, they changed the scheme. They bring both inside linebackers off the overloaded side, and what happens? Sack. I'm like, where's this been? But if you do that, you're taking your 2 middle linebackers out of the middle of the field. If this guy runs to his left, even that slow-footed quarterback, he's still running. So I don't know. All right, historian, give me your overall thoughts.
You got to give credit to Kamari Taylor, because that was a guy that we recruited, by the way. We just didn't land.
That's what Ben pointed out.
And that's the whole thing that people don't realize, that when he settles in, he's going to be one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the country, period. He's got all the raw ability. Our defense was able to adjust, but he still was able to, I hate to point it out, but he was able to figure out how to run through the defense. He made made a couple of nice passes once the other quarterback went down. But the thing that concerns me is the veteran safety in KJ Bolden. I'm not going to lie. It's him and Thomas. Those two, I love the aggressiveness, but the one thing that they always get caught up in is keeping their eyes in the backfield, and they get lost about what's going on. And being a safety, you're the last line of defense. So you have to be able to play pass first, then play run. That's how we've been getting beat all year. Think about it. The safeties have been getting caught, and that's the reason why explosive plays have been happening. We've been so trained to be aggressive with stopping the run because we struggled with that last year, if you guys remember. And now we're good at stopping the run. Now it's kind of like, okay, we forget how to cover. If you notice, and I hate to say it, because KJ's my favorite player, by the way.
Okay.
When he was out of that Florida game, you saw a totally different secondary when you put Zion Branch's brother in. Think about it. You didn't see that many explosive plays go over the top. But
this week, now last week they got him, but to your point, that's exactly what John was asking. Sometimes that's a situation where we say, well, why didn't Glenn Schumann have those guys drop back? How did he let somebody get behind him? John, that's their fault.
I know.
No Schumann on that one.
Yeah. Glenn Schumann ain't the one telling them, hey, keep staring into the backfield until you have a guy run past you on a 9 route. Oh,
No.
shit, I need to turn around?
Even though I will say, Roddy, the DB coaching this year with Dante Williams and T-Rob is not quite where Fran Brown and some of the other previous defensive back coaches are. I still think that one thing Kirby has to assess with his coaching staff is in the modern day with NIL, how much does he value having a coach that's a really good recruiter versus in-game coach now that NIL, you can basically buy out players. So what's the emphasis on recruiting now? Get the best in-game coach who's proven to develop and maximize some of these 3-star kids and be really good with the X's and O's. I think he has to go back to the drawing board and adjust that. And now, I never want to be the guy who calls for someone to be fired or whatever, but I think that that's something Kirby's going to have to change, especially if a coach, like let's say Glenn Schumann gets a head coaching job, which if he doesn't in this cycle with like 50 jobs open, then at this point, I think Glenn Schumann's days of being a head coach may never happen. But assuming he does, when he evaluates who's the next DC, I'm not looking at the next DC going, you're a great recruiter, because Kirby's done that in the past. Sam Pittman was a great recruiter. A lot of these guys he's hired in the past were ace recruiters to build that roster. Now with NIL, it doesn't matter as much. So with him now, I'm curious to see this offseason, assuming there are coaching staff changes, whether they're fired or coaches get better jobs, how he adjusts that. Because I think what John asked earlier, I think that's going to be a big thing going forward. It's how Kirby manages the staff. Because I think he has a staff that's more built towards a previous era of college football. And that's why I think Bobo and Stacey Searles this year have been Georgia's 2 best coaches in game, because they've actually developed guys at the quarterback position, the offensive line position, better than some of these defensive guys, even though they're great recruiters.
Yep. And Roddy, what I was saying, it's not necessarily getting beat deep. It's you watch and like Schumann's giving a call, then Kirby's right behind him, and they're changing stuff. I don't know that these guys are good enough to take on all that. I'm not talking about Kirby and Schumann. I'm talking about these guys on the field. You know, we don't have a Malachi Starks back there or a Javon Bullard. It seems like I just think it may be over their head.
No, and that's it goes back to what the historian was saying. It was a situation where I feel bad because I won't say I called out KJ Bolden, but about in the middle of first quarter or something, I'm like, I said the blooms kind of come off that rose a little bit because we were all so excited about what KJ did last year. I said you just don't hear his name anymore. And I said he has to be 9 different places at once because he doesn't have any help from the other safety, whether it be Kyron Jones, who I'm a big fan of. I like Kyron, Ja'Cory Thomas, who's great and tackles well, but is just a liability in coverage. Backing up Janelle Aguero, who's also a liability in coverage. You know, it's like he needs to be 10 different places. And right as I said that, all of a sudden he recovers a fumble and starts dropping people left and right. I'm like, okay, KJ, he had a good game. But you're right, historian. It's a guy that it's tough for him to be everywhere. And he's not Malachi Starks, you know, and he doesn't have a Kamari Lassiter up on the line or a Darian Kendrick at cornerback who's like, I don't have to worry about that side of the field at all. That is, you know, nothing's going on over there. Eric Stokes has got everything from the hash mark in. I'm fine. So maybe, and the theory has been postulated that the defense is too complicated and they need to simplify it a little bit because to match your athletes, to let them play. The flip side of that is the offenses are really complicated and you can simplify it, and do what other teams do. When Austin Peay came in here or Marshall came in here, they took chances. You can make it so that the plays hit faster by taking some of the decisions out and letting them play quicker. The drawback is if you have a smart guy on the opposite side, people want to make fun of Josh Heupel, but he's brilliant. Mike Bobo's brilliant. And if they want to take chances, they will burn your ass. And Georgia doesn't give up a lot of explosive plays, but if you simplify that defense and let them play a little bit faster, you'll see more explosive play. So every team that has beaten Georgia has nickeled and dimed them to death. That first drive, they went 3 for 3 on third down, 4 for 4 on third down. The guy went 4 for 4 passing. That wasn't 65-yard touchdown because you decided to go cover 0.
Actually, Roddy, I have a quick question before I go. I got to grab the family some food for actually all of you. Do you think Mike Bobo might win the Broyles Award this year? Because honestly, I look around the country and Georgia's offense, they're number one in efficiency. And when you look at points per game, I believe they're in like the top 3 or 4. I think this is a real shot. After Mike Bobo last year, the whole fan base wanted him fired. That now this year with Gunnar Stockton, the way the offense is constructed this year, with Zachariah Branch, who you can use in the screen game and how the team's constructed, he's really maximized this offense. And I think he's got a real shot to be the best assistant in the country this year and win the Broyles Award. I don't know if you guys think he has a shot at that.
Historian?
I think he has the opportunity to do so, to win that Broyles Award. And like you said, I don't really see too many coaches across the country having to deal with what he's dealing with right now, with the inconsistent defense, and he's having to literally carry the team to victory. Because if you pay attention to it, we limit a lot of possessions because we're offensively effective in majority of the games that we're in. And that pretty much covers up the deficiencies that we have on the defense. But no one's going to say that, though. Look, I'm one of the ones who wanted him gone. Radi will tell you that. I said it last year. But I can humble myself and say he's done a hell of a job this year in making this team a lot better when it comes to offensive efficiency. So my thing is this. Long as you paying rent is what we would say. Long as you paying rent and doing your job, guess what? I'm fine with you being here. I'll wear this DD214 shirt with pride. They tell you just like this in the unit. Hey, if you're doing your job, we don't have a problem. If you are lacking on your job, guess what? We're going to have a problem. You got to go. I mean, that's just how it goes.
No, I'm with you 100%. John, your take? Broyles Award?
Yeah, I think you're onto something, and he should. I just wonder if they're going to give it to one of these guys interim that does well down the stretch, you know. But I could see that happening. But yeah, he's certainly deserving. I'll be honest, I was not confident coming out of the Alabama game, but since then I feel like even today, even when Dylan Bell fumbled, I felt like, there's wrinkles because he could have, that was really on Gunner too. He gives the ball to Chauncey Bowen there. He walks in. But I don't, yes, I would agree with you that he is. I do want to ask a question before you leave though. Talk about Glenn Schumann getting a job. I don't see him getting any of these that are open unless my thinking would be if Jeff Brom were to leave Louisville. Is he at Louisville? Is somebody in the SEC going to hire Glenn Schumann? I don't think so.
I'm not completely rolling out Auburn. I'm really not, because he's got connections in Alabama, and to me, I look at them and go, a lot of sitting head. I think Summerall is probably their guy. Actually, I think the Tulane coach, if he doesn't get the LSU job, is getting the Auburn job because he's like from there. His wife went there. But I think Schumann can, because he almost got North Carolina last year. People don't know he was second to Bill Belichick in that race. If that opens up again, he could get North Carolina. He could take an ACC job. So I think it's possible. I just don't know if there's a job that I go slam dunk, they have to take him. I think it's 50-50, to be honest.
I see that. I could see a North Carolina. I just, for some reason, I don't know that he likes the microphone. And a head coach, you're almost forced to. And I don't want to say he struggles, but it's not his forte. I know recruiting is, and he's a savant on drawing up a defense, but a lot of head coaching is glad handing, and he may, I don't know, he may be the nicest guy. Just when you hear him in interviews, he really, really is uncomfortable.
You're right. All right, Ben, we'll see you later.
All right, I'll see you, Roddy.
Hey, I want to ask you guys this. I think Georgia needs to be the biggest A&M and Alabama fans for the next 3 weeks, because Georgia does not need to go to the championship game. And anybody can dog me. Anybody can say that's BS. We do not need to go. They do not need – they need that week. They don't need that extra game. They do not. We lost a punter and a quarterback last year. People can say, our quarterback sucked. We still had to start a kid in a bowl game that hadn't played really all year. And we lost a weapon and a punter. There's no reason for us to go to championship. This team does not need to go. Let Alabama, let A&M go. That's just my opinion. What you guys?
I'm with you there. I said the only defining, or the only silver lining last year's, because again, credit Kirby Smart. The fact that the bar now is title or bust. Now, a lot of people will say that, but if you're in Wisconsin and say that, nobody believes you. Nobody's going to say, oh, yeah, Colorado State, title or bust. Bullshit. Nobody, it's not realistic for you, you know. And again, I'm not banging on those teams. I'm just saying, you know, if you say that at Alabama or Ohio State, like, okay, if, you know, Ohio State doesn't win a title, then all of a sudden, you know, Ryan Day might have been fired.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you can't beat Michigan, you can't win a title. That's our minimum. That's our bar. Alabama's bar is SEC title, national championship. If DeBoer doesn't do it, DeBoer's out. You know, Kirby Smart, Mark Richt didn't have them at that level. That wasn't the bar. That's the bar now.
Yep.
So I'm with you. This like the only saving grace last year when you didn't win the title was, well, hey, SEC champions, which is phenomenal. That is amazing.
Conference title is still good to have, though. But I understand where he's coming from with that, because again, health is wealth. Let's be honest, health is wealth. Because again, no matter how y'all feel about Carson Beck, the man led the conference in touchdowns last year with a horrible receiving core. Now, whatever he's doing at Miami
and most TDs, come on, that's
think about it.
Good.
Whatever he's doing at Miami, that's his business right now. No more concerns for me. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. Yes, I was a Beck fan, but at the same time, he doesn't have on red and black no more. The hell with him, and that's just what it is. You know, I respect you. I appreciate what you did while you was here, leading us to 2 SEC title games. But hey, at the end of the day, let's keep this a buck. I understand where John is coming from with it, because if we have at least talent on this field that's healthy, you see what Georgia can do as a healthy ball club. Very hard to stop. Very hard to stop.
Yeah, like Jason Katz here says, the right side of the offensive line, if we've forgotten, both those guys are true freshmen. My goodness. Yeah, you didn't want to have to start those 2 guys because you lost Ernest Green. And then they had some mistakes. I mean, they're both phenomenal players. That's going to be an all SEC. Both of them will be. They're definitely freshmen all SEC. But in the next 2 years, if you can keep them, remember, portal opens up. Somebody's going to try to come after them with a lot of money. My point is the fact that, you know, you lose Ernest Green, you force Juan Gaston and Dontrell Glover into playing a role, then you get Ernest Green back. Now you're healthy. You saw what the deep offense looks like when he's healthy, and the fact that you could take Micah Morris out, put Dontrell Glover or Juan Gaston over there, and then Micah Morris comes in after a rest, and he just starts mauling people. You saw him on that pull to the right. Georgia ran 3 pulls today, guard pulls, and ran behind them, and they were huge. They were touchdowns. I mean, they were back breakers. So you're right, historian. When Georgia's healthy, that's big. If you lose you know, for the update, Lawson Lucky has a concussion or was in concussion protocol. Drew Bobo with a cut on his, I think a cut on his hand. He was taken out. If you have a starter go out, like John mentions, you lose your freaking quarterback in the SEC championship game. That SEC ring is nice, but it's not as nice as being healthy and hosting a game on campus and having, you know, God forbid anything happen to Gunner or Zachariah Branch gets his ankle twisted. Somebody's going to try to tackle him by the foot, and you're going to watch him alligator roll. I'm calling it now.
But here's the thing, though. When you talk about the depth that we got, Roddy, and you look at it, okay, we don't want Branch to go down and shout out to Zachariah Branch. If for my old school football fans in here, you know who Cliff Branch is. That's his great uncle. He literally is the reincarnation of Cliff Branch. I'm being honest. There's an infamous play where Kenny Stabler throws the same type of bubble screen that we throw at Georgia. He threw it against New Orleans. Zach he's in at a traffic like your uncle and literally has the same type of speed to go. But if he goes down, here's a guy that no one talk about. You still has to Kobe, who's really good, talented kid. And he's made a couple of good, tough, contested catches. You see that Noah Thomas is in now, that unfortunately Kobe Young is down. We have depth at the wide receiver that we have not had in a long time. Really, I don't even think we've ever had depth like this, to be honest.
It's been a long time. It really has.
But if he does go down, you got people that can step in for him. And God forbid any one of the running backs go down. We have 5 guys in the room, and there's a kid that wears number 24 by the name of Bo Walker. I hope y'all got to watch. Yeah, he looked pretty decent. I hope y'all understand that he's going to be the future back up here at Georgia. He showed that today.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Bo Walker's legit. You're right. You've got depth now on the offensive line. You got depth in the wide receiver. You're having to dig a little into the tight end room, but Elijah Williams coming on strong. Jaden Riddell's looking good. Your depth on offense is pretty legit, but you were thin on defense. You already lost Jordan Hall. You've lost, DeMello's gets beat up. You don't have great cornerbacks, great safety play, and if you have to play one extra game and you lose one more of those guys,
yeah,
I'm kind of with John's thing here. Again, I want Georgia to be in the SEC championship. I want them to win a title, but I'm also fine if Alabama and Texas A&M went out and the two of them face it. Hey, fine, okay. Georgia gets to host Memphis.
Easiest path through the playoffs. I'm good with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh, damn, they didn't win the SEC title. Boo-hoo. I've been there before, but I've also seen Georgia play in the SEC title game, and on multiple occasions, it hurt their chances more than – and hell, even winning it. Like you said, you win it last year, that should propel you, but you lose your quarterback and you lose your punter. It's an extra game. And again, when we started the show, we were talking about the point of not – I was banging on the counter saying there shouldn't be an SEC title game. There shouldn't be conference championship games. You can name a regular season SEC champion. You can name a regular season ACC champion, Big Ten champion, Pac-2 champion, whoever. And now everybody gets that week off, and then you start the playoffs a week earlier. And now you can have the playoffs wrapped up right about the time that the portal's opening. It's a money grab, and now you're going to add a 9th SEC game so that you have to play 9 regular season SEC games plus a 10th one. That's just more and more opportunities for you to get knocked out of the playoffs. And people want to bang their chest and go, well, you just take on all comers. I'm like, you can't do that because of depth. Nobody's as deep as they used to be. The 2021 team could probably play 16 games, but the 2025 team, offensively, they'll be able to maul and roll with anybody. But defensively, any fewer games, the better for me.
Yeah, and now the conference champion, there's no automatic bye either.
Yeah.
So. And that's the whole thing. Even if you get that bye week, here's the one thing that no one talks about. Last year, the bye week hurt everybody who won their conference championships.
Yes, didn't they all lose?
About that. No team that won their conference championship won a playoff game last year.
You're right. They all lost.
And it wasn't just a close beating either. Everybody got beat badly because think about it. When you sit for that long, you're out of rhythm. You're out of sync at that point. But oh, okay. I see what he said. No, we did have depth, but not like this. It's like, think about it. Most of those guys were great, but when you talk about it, you're just rolling guys out and they literally can hurt you from anywhere on the field.
Yeah.
And they're not all role players either. So that's the one thing that you can say. Anybody on this offense right now, receiver wise, can start anywhere in the country.
Radi, I got one question for you before I head out, and you may not be able to answer it or want to answer it. Do you feel like Kirby's a little bit more snarky with you local guys this year? Here's my thing. I love the guy, and you guys do a hell of a job, and I know I'm biased with UGA Sports. But what kind of answer is they're the same but different? And then he was asked again on the teleconference, and he said, I answered that earlier this week. What the hell does that even mean?
Yeah. They have a –
I get it. He's selling a brand. But then he goes on McAfee, and they're best friends. Or he's on – or who's he on in that? And I get national. There's more people. But I'm sure there's some of the guys on that beat that are annoying as hell. But, like, those Monday things, I know he'd rather be anywhere else but there, but there's a lot of fans that, and maybe he doesn't care, but there's a lot of that. I mean, I eat my lunch on Monday listening to that at work. I mean, as a middle-aged guy, I kind of look forward to that on a Monday. Is that too much else, Just seems like he's more dry and being an ass this year to you guys.
Go ahead, historian.
No, I was laughing because he said that about the local guys. Think about it. Now, you don't have to say it, Roddy. I'll say it. Chip Towers is one of the biggest jerks. I want to say the D word, but I don't know how censored your show is, so I wanted to, Chip Towers is one of the
keeping us monetized. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest schmucks. I'll say it like that. He's one of the biggest schmucks out here. I'm just gonna be honest with you on that. And if you look at the articles that he writes about Georgia, and it's a lot of people who do, but I'm specifically pointing him out because he's brutal. He hates Georgia.
He's not there anymore. I mean, he's retired, so
he
shows up every once in a while. But
that's what I'm saying. We still see him every once in a while. But when he was there, when Kirby was here, he was awful. And it wasn't just him. It was a lot of local beat writers who kind of dumped on Georgia, and Kirby kind of got a reason to be that way with the local media. Like they pretty much are mean towards the Dogs. Period. Look at some. Not all journalists. Let me make sure I put that out there. But it's a good amount of the journalists who have a disdain for Georgia, and you can tell in their tasteless writing. Just now what it is.
Now there's one that, they're best friends, and he's not afraid to tell you who's in his Rolodex and who he knows. And he may be, I don't know if I think they're tied now all together with UGA Sports, but he's not afraid to tell you that him and Kirby Smart are good friends, and he knows when he has information. And
I'll put you this way. Kirby's been polite to me. We've never spoken outside of a press conference, but we have one call. I'll take that back. I've spoken to him one time outside of a press conference. He has told his coaches not to speak to us, although some of them still do. He wants to control the information coming out of his program, which is fair.
Yep.
The problem is it ain't his goddamn program.
Right.
Okay. This is the University of Georgia. It is a public university. Kirby Smart, I give him all the credit. I mean, look, people accuse me of being a homer all the time because I tweet about how good Kirby Smart is. That coaching thing with the switching out the offense, the punt team with the offense, then the punt team, then the offense, that was brilliant. I called it brilliant. I gave him and Kirk Benedict, the special teams coordinator, all the credit in the world. I put out graphics of Kirby Smart being, like 120 and 20 versus in his career. I mean, he's really good, and he'll forget more in the next 5 minutes about football than I'll ever know. But I chafe at lack of access and lack of information. Like when he decided I'm not going to do Tuesday press conferences because it's not fair to make my staff wait 20 minutes. I'm like, that's not a reason. We can do this press conference at noon. We can do it at 8 a.m. We can do it at 8 p.m. We can do it after anything. Talking to the press once a week is not fair to the John and the historian and the tens of thousands of other people who are subscribers at UGAsports.com that want to hear, hey, Kirby, can we get an update on Lawson Lucky on Tuesday? Because Monday he does it before practice. When you're Kirby, how's Lawson Lucky? I don't know. We'll see him today. Tuesday, I ask, what did you feel Monday? And he goes, no, I can't make my staff wait 20 minutes. Hey, those guys are making making $2 million a pop. For those of us making $30,000, answer the damn question. It's not just your team. This is a public university. You're the head coach. I respect him to death. I love him to death. He makes covering this team fun. But give us some information for the readers. It's not for us. And I don't take shots at the team. I call it like I see it. But that's just a pet peeve of mine. It's like, dude, just if you're going to be snarky, that's fine. He's also, though, incredibly transparent at other times. When you ask him something, he will say, this safety, he has some good plays and some bad plays. We need him to do X, Y, and Z. And I tell you, Mark Ricks or Jim Donovan would never have come out publicly and said, this guy's lacking here. So I give him credit for being honest sometimes. Other times when he says, yeah, we hope to get that guy back soon. And I'm like, Kirby, that guy's leg was taken off at the hip. He's not coming back this week. So it's some gamesmanship. It's a long-winded answer to your question. There's some gamesmanship there, but I fight for more information, not for us, but for the readers. I've been making the same salary for years. Every extra dollar we get, we put into advertising. I mean, we put into salaries for the staff or equipment. I'm not going to make any more if Kirby lets us have more access, but I don't want to say I don't know. If someone asked me about Lost and Lucky on Tuesday and be like, no, I want to be able to give you an answer. And I want Kirby or some of the other coaches, if he'd let us talk to them, hey, Glenn Schumann, why are teams ripping you in the first drive? And so, hey, Mike Bobo, you've got Josh McCray. You get down to the goal line and you throw a fade to Noah Thomas that's ill-timed, and you could have punched it in, and then you get fancy down around the goal line. Why not just give it to Josh McCray 3 times and see if you can knock it in? And I want to hear Mike Bobo's response to that.
And everything you're saying, and I know we're not owed anything.
Yeah,
but like you said, it's not. He's the head guy right now. But let me ask you this: do you think the other sites or whatever are, if they're willing to fall in line, that there's things that are told to them over other places like yours?
You kind of lost me there.
All right, so let's just say John has Go Dogs. It's his site. I got a site called Go Dogs, and I'm willing to. I don't write anything negative. I don't write anything that coach doesn't want me to. He's never had to call me.
Oh yeah.
I'm a player. But then he may give me a little bit to float out there, just so maybe the players see it, or maybe John will probably say that happened.
Oh yeah, that happens. But here's the other part: if you're too tight to the program, I mean, I've had the situation where I've had guys say, "Look, I told you that in confidence. How could you betray me?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, and this wasn't any of the current coaches that are here, and I'm like, well, you didn't tell me that was off the record. It happened once. And again, it wasn't something that could affect the program, but he's like, I didn't want that out there. I don't want them to know I talked to you. But I will put it to you this way. We at UGA Sports have broken more news because we're not beholden to anybody.
Yep.
I mean, I got an athletic director fired. I mean, we've broken a lot of news because if you were too tight to a certain source, that source is like, look, we're friends. How could you write that? How could you put that out there? You betrayed me. So you got to keep it professional. I like all those guys. People will accuse me of being a Mike Bobo defender. I'm like, me and Mike aren't even friends. We're respectful of each other, but
hey, don't feel bad. There's a lot of us that went down with the ship in Buckhead. We just weren't the AD of the big state.
So here's the thing. It's like, I mean, I knew who Georgia was going to hire for the basketball position. I might have been the third person that knew that, when they were going to hire Mike White, but I couldn't betray my source on that. So I had to keep my mouth shut, and it's just, I have folks on the team. There are players, there are coaches, there are players' parents. There are everybody in that program. I've been doing this since '93. They tell me things that are going on. Our Anthony Dasher told us, hey, they're going to give Landon Roldan the ball on a reverse today, or on a sweep today.
And you didn't put it out, which was smart, because again, you're sitting there leaking. You leak a game plan like that if you want to. You won't even get a drop of what recruit they're talking to right now.
Right. But at the same time, when they tell you something like, hey, this kid's flipping somewhere else, you're like, okay.
You can't put that out, because again, you're gonna mess that up, because we've seen that. I'm not gonna even name any sources, because I follow you on X and Facebook and a few other spots, but I also follow some other folks. There are some folks who literally will leak stuff before it comes out, and the kid changes his mind and literally makes you look like a non-credible source.
You can't be the news. You can only report the news. Now, if you affect the game, oh, by the way, Georgia's worked on fake punts today. Okay. Then all of a sudden the other team realizes it's a fake punt. You can't do that. But Kirby, to be fair, and I would probably be the same way if I was him. He's like, how do you trust a journalist not to reveal what he knows? So if I take away everything, I won't. If they don't know anything, then I don't have to worry about it. But point is, we get a lot of information and we try to be good stewards of it. Sometimes when you are really close to these people, they tell you a lot more, and you just have to have a rule about, I'm not going to leak stuff from inside the program that could change the outcome of the game. I'm just going to, but then like, if you find out that Fatone Bowd is starting and nobody knows that, or Stetson Bennett's going to start, nobody believed me when I said Stetson Bennett was going to start, you know, but you kind of have to report it because that's what's coming. So,
but that's called journalism integrity. You actually,
it's a moving target, you know, case by case.
Because think about it, it's a lot more stuff that you could let out the bag that you know.
Dude, I know where the bodies are buried. I could
exactly. But the thing is, it's called leading folks with breadcrumbs, having them come back for more. But people don't get that part of the game, though. But Radi, I'm getting ready to break camp, man. I just wanted to come through and kick it with you and John for a little bit. I appreciate you letting me in as always. Whenever I get time to, because I gotta look. I'm happy as hell right now. I gotta get ready and get my mind right for tomorrow morning. Hopefully these damn Falcons don't mess up my mood in this weekend because they pissed me off last Sunday. And I still got to do a show for them, man. I'm waiting for you to come through, man. We're on every Falcon game. I got to get you to come through whenever.
I'll come through, dude. I will come on and I will be the saddest fan you ever saw. I love my Falcons. I go back to, you know, my grandparents lived in Flowery Branch. We used to go up there, and I remember going over and having lunch because you could actually go eat at the team facility.
Yep. And
they had the tables lined up. Hey, the players, you know, and the staff eat over here. The guests eat over here. And I remember getting to sit next to Jeff Van Note and eat my corn dog. And I was in seventh heaven. And my dad would reach over and grab me by the thigh. I got huge thighs, you know. Radi, you could be William Andrews, damn it, you know. I'm like, Dad, I'm slow and white. It ain't gonna happen.
Man, I've had a couple of former Falcons to come through the show too, and I had Buck Bellew to come through the show as well. A while ago, but I'll say the coolest Falcon to come through so far, was Mr. Dewey McClain. Dewey is a good dude, and love Terrence Mathis. That's my other guy. Love him dearly, and we had John Abraham. So we've had a couple of guys to come through. Yeah, we had John Abraham. And here's the funny part. And shout out, and we got to bring a Bulldog back in here. Shout out to Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker has been everything as advertised as we knew. And a lot of people tried to trash him for being the first round pick, but the boy is doing what we saw him do at Georgia. So shout out to Jalen, man. And Radi, man, keep doing the great things that you're doing for UGA, man. We definitely love it. And even if me and you disagreed a few times on some stuff, it's okay. I still love what you do for UGA, man. Definitely keeping me as a fan, an avid listener and reader, man. I appreciate you, my brother.
I'll put it to you this way, historian. If you and I both agree, then one of us is unnecessary.
Yeah, I can't look.
We're saying the same thing, that it's just we have to disagree sometimes. That's the way it should be. And you got to keep each other straight. I appreciate you joining us. I'm going to end the show here because I've been talking 2 hours and 4 hours now. I'm losing my voice and I can feel it in the throat there. I'm going to keep trying to kill it with Hunker Bourbon and see if that fixes it. But if not, I'll be watching your show tomorrow. Pull my Falcons through, man. Come on, help me out.
I'm gonna try my best to will them through. Look and see. Don't tell nobody this. I gotta watch church online tomorrow. I can't even go to the church house tomorrow to pray and at least put some money in the collection plate. I think that's why we lost last Sunday. So y'all forgive me for that. But the Dogs is winning, so the good Lord is looking out for us some kind of way.
Well, we know he's a Bulldog. He's got Louis Grizzard up there, and he's got Larry Munson, and they're saying, "Hey, Lord, watch this. Help him out."
I'll show you.
We'll see you later. Y'all take care.
Sir.